Welcome to the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage, where rude mechanicals do magic. Hello, I'm Bronze Age, Director of the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage. And today, we're going to take this classic floor lamp and put it back in good working order. Now, I call this a classic because this was the most common configuration of this type of lamp. There would have been a Mogul bulb here in the middle, which is the biggest size, 3 Edison candelabra sockets around the outside, and underneath this alabaster piece, there would have been a nightlight, which has long since been lost and abandoned. We're going to put all that back together, except for the Mogul socket, but we'll deal with that in just a little bit. Now, the reason these lights were so common is because in the early days of electrification, ceiling fixtures were fairly dim. They really weren't the kind of thing that you wanted to play a game of cards or read a magazine or the newspaper from. And so the floor lamp, which was a portable light that could be moved around anywhere in the room and had various levels of brightness for which whatever you needed, was the perfect answer to the problem. And with the Mogul bulb, which was available in wattages up to 500, I have seen some that were even brighter than that, but I don't know if they were intended for floor lamps or not. You could cast a good bright light on just about anything you needed to do. Now, the original socket that went in this lamp is this one, the Mogul socket. Big, huge light bulb. And when all put together, the bulb would be right about here. These used this kind of bowl type diffuser. Now, what's happened here is someone has thrown away the Mogul socket and put a regular Edison in here. And the problem is the bulbs have to go down a long way. And you can't actually use this. It won't fit. The bulb won't screw down tight. So this floor lamp has probably been sitting in somebody's closet or garage or something for many, many years, waiting to come up with some kind of solution how they were going to be able to use it. What I'm going to do is take a keyless regular Edison socket, mount it with some hardware so that it will be up here at the top, just like that. The bowl diffuser will fit. It will be operated by a 3-way switch, which I will put right here in the original keyhole. The keyhole is just a little too narrow for the switch to be installed easily. So I'm going to open this up just a bit with this reamer. There we go. Nice tight fit is good. There was a technical problem with this shot where I explained that the Mogul socket uses a large pipe and the Edison socket uses a smaller pipe, so I have to come up with some kind of adapter. I have an adapter which has the small hole on one end and the big hole on the other. Then this piece, which is called a hickey, nobody really knows why, but it's a standard piece of electrical hardware, any kind of bracket that holds two pieces of anything apart from each other. It's called a hickey. Another small piece. And our socket will go right here. And the purpose of the hickey is to give us a place for the wires that have to go to the switch. All the threaded parts get a drop of the blue thread sealer so that once they're in place, that will set up like a glue, and it will resist any possibility of someone changing the bulb and all the parts start to twist and come loose. It's cheap insurance, very cheap insurance. Now this is the assembled hardware along with the blue thread lock and these little lock nuts at each point where the pipes touch the hickey. I'm pretty sure this is going to stay together through a couple hundred light bulb changes. Now before we get into wiring this thing, there's a point I want to make. Lamp cord and all wiring sold for lamps is stranded. It means there are lots of little tiny wires inside here. For a good reason. It can be twisted, bent, it won't kink, and it won't hold a shape, which is an advantage in a lamp. But when it comes to putting this underneath a screw terminal, it's against the rules. National Electric Code says that any stranded wire under a screw terminal has to be tinned. And what that means is simply a little bit of solder is put on it. Get this wire heated up here. And that turns that multiple wires into one wire, which can then be put underneath the screw terminal and it won't splay out and get loose. And everyone should be familiar with a three-way bulb. It's probably the most common kind of table lamp in the United States, at least. We have a center terminal. This ring right here is another terminal, and then the shell is a third terminal. Inside the socket, we have a center terminal, this little piece sticking up which catches that second ring, and then the shell. Now in the familiar keyed lamp light socket, we've got two screws, and the switch is inside here. On the keyless, we've got three screws, and the switch is going to be on the outside. Now wiring it looks a little complicated, but it's really no more difficult than any other lamp wiring job. We're going to start at the very beginning to try and keep it simple. Lamp cord that is sold in the United States and most of North America comes with a plug where one prong is wider than the other. That way you can only stick it into the wall socket one way. Now the wide prong goes to a wire that the insulation has ridges on it. Can't really see them, but you can feel them. They're scratchy. The narrow prong goes to the side that is smooth. Now this side with the ridges goes uninterrupted to every lamp socket shell on the lamp. One straight wire that branches off and goes to each of those shells. The narrow prong, the smooth one, is going to go to whatever switches we have. Now I'm going to start off with just a piece of white lamp cord wire, and I picked this piece with the ridges on it because that's going underneath the silver screw, which is the screw that goes to the shell. Now, in a regular lamp with a key, the ridges go to the silver screw, the smooth side goes to the brass colored screw. Well, we don't have that here in this case. What we've got is a brass colored screw and a black screw. And our switch has black wire, blue wire, red wire. Well, the black wire is going to go to the main cord, smooth side, and these two wires go up to our socket. Now I've got to run this through here. And And then these two wires have to go up through here. All a matter of putting it together in the right order. There we go. Don't want to lose this little paper insulator. Most things on a lamp serve some function, and leaving one off is definitely going to lead to trouble. Now, as I said, we've got two terminals, brass and black. Now, it doesn't really matter which wire goes where, but if you put the blue on the brass one, like this, and you put the red one on the black one, when you go to turn the switch, the first light that comes on will be dim. The second light that comes on will be a little brighter, and the third light that comes on will be brightest yet. Now, if you get these backwards, the light will still work. It's not going to make any difference at all. But it will not be in the right order. And some people might find that disturbing. Get this back down, and you can see the insulator inside the shell has slots cut in it, and there are pieces of plastic sticking out on the socket, and that lines up with it. And we make sure that we get the screws inside the insulator. Let me push it up in there. And then you have to make sure that it snaps in nice and tight. And it's actually much easier to do this on the bench than when it's on the lamp, because you can actually get a hold of it and push it down. Then you should not be able to pull it apart no matter how hard you try. If for any reason you do have to get it apart, there is a little spot here where it actually says press. And if you push on that hard enough, more likely stick a screwdriver in there and pry it loose, this shell will come off. But without that, it should be nice and solid. I like to use a straw to keep wires lined up. I've got to put them through a hole like this. I'm going to come down here and fight and fiddle to get this out the hole. And I've got a little small check ring, which is going to cover up the part of the slot. And then we've got the collar. And just a little bit of a snug with the pliers to get it down straight. And we've got the first part of this job done. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on wiring the sockets, but to say that I'm using lamp cord here. Like all of the lamp cord, one side is smooth and the other side has ridges. You can feel them with your fingers. And the socket always has a silver screw and a brass screw. The side with ridges goes to the silver screw. The side that is smooth goes to the brass screw. That's a convention that holds true on all light sockets and lamp cords, at least in North America. One of the nicer features of this lamp is this alabaster piece, which is the lens for a nightlight. And the nightlight is turned on by a switch that goes in this hole here. Now we're going to turn our attention to the bottom end, which I have this handy little jig, because one of the problems working on floor lamps is that you sometimes have to work on both ends at the same time, and that's a hard reach. Now the nightlight was turned on and off with a push button switch, went through this hole in the base, and you could just tap it with your foot, turn the light on and off. Now the original hardware that held the nightlight socket in place is missing. Really don't have any idea what it would have looked like. What I'm going to do is use this light with a ring on it and hold it in place with the switch. Assembling the nightlight is fairly straightforward. I've got a piece of regular lamp cord, and the side with the ridges goes under the silver screw on the lamp socket. One of the black wires from the switch goes under the brass socket, and then the other black wire will be soldered to the smooth white wire. The connection is going to be covered with a piece of shrink tubing, which is a special kind of plastic made for this purpose, which, as the name implies, shrinks when it's heated with this little torch. Before I install it, I'm going to put the insulator on there, very important piece, and I like to put a zip tie on here, keep everything nice and neat once it's all together. Now it's time to run the main wire up the trunk. For a table lamp, you can usually push the cord all the way up through the pipe from the bottom to the top. On a floor lamp, you got probably 3 times as much pipe, and the internal friction just gets to the point where at some point it just bunches up and you can't push it any further. So the practical solution is to pull it, usually called fishing. And the easiest way is just simply to wrap the 2 wires around each other. And if there's not a lot of friction in the pipe, and in this case I've got not only the power cord but also the nightlight wire as well, it should be able to pull through without too much trouble. I always add just a little bit of beeswax furniture polish for just a bit of lubrication, because the inside of these pipes can be rough. But once I get it started moving, it should do okay. Now I can just barely reach the other end. If it was 4 inches longer, I'd have to call a helper. Now keep the wire feeding nice and smooth, and don't put any more tension on this end than I absolutely have to. And that will take the tension off that knot that I twisted in the wires. That's far enough in there. We can now go get to work on the other end. Now this looks like wire salad, but there's a few tricks that can make it manageable. First thing I'm going to do is take the top cup and strap it here on this arm so that I don't have to worry about it falling away when I'm trying to work with these wires. First thing I do, take the main power cord, now tie in the underwriter's knot. This is important either in floor lamps or table lamps, but in case someone were to trip over the cord, you don't want this cord to be able to be pulled down inside the pipe, jerked out of all the connections or underneath the screw terminals or whatever. Then you'd have a very dangerous situation with a live wire inside of a steel pipe. Can't have that. Next thing I'm going to do is take all the wires that go to the sockets here on the arms, peel them back. Now, as I've said time and time again, the lamp wire has a ridge side and a smooth side. And that's very difficult to see. You can feel it, but when you've got this many here and you got this many you've got to bundle together into a connection, it just gets difficult. So what I do is I take each smooth wire and I paint a black stripe on it. And I'll be able to see what I'm doing. Okay. And that is, yep. And that helps a great deal. Now, first thing to connect is the ridges. All of these ridged wires, which are the ones that are not painted black, I'm going to pull them, strip them back. Get them bundled up into one piece. I have a ridge wire from the nightlight. It's going to go on there. The white wire from the top cup. And then finally, the ridge wire on the lamp cord. All of those go to one single connection. Now I've got all the ridge wires put together so that I can solder them, and all the other work I have to do, I don't have to worry about this coming loose. Now I install the three-way switch for the arm sockets, and it has a black, a red, and a blue wire. And I'll take two of the smooth wires, the ones I put the black marks on, and connect them to the red wire, and then the last one will go to the blue wire. Doesn't really matter which three, it'll all work out the same when the connections are made. Now I install the three-way switch for the arm sockets, and it has a black, a red, and a blue wire. Now I'll take two of the smooth wires, the ones I put the black marks on, and connect them to the red wire, and then the last one will go to the blue wire. Doesn't really matter which three, it'll all work out the same when the connections are made. The last wires to hook up are the switches. We have the switch, the black wire from the arm switch. We have the black wire from the cup switch. And we have this one little lone white wire from the nightlight switch. Besides the fact that soldered connections are much more reliable than any kind of twisted wire mechanical connector, like a wire nut or something like that, they take up much less space. So when you are trying to pack all the wires and the connectors back in to the body, you don't have nearly as much trouble. Now when this lamp came in, it was missing the screw that goes in this little hole. Ordinarily that could be a problem, but it just so happens this is the same size screw to hold switch plates or light switches onto the wall. So you can find one of these really in just about any hardware store. And a little bit of paint on it, touch it up, and nobody will ever notice. This is Bronze Age for the Secret Underground Laboratory Recovery and Salvage, and I thank you for sitting through this video with me. We really appreciate it if you'd like to subscribe, comment. Questions are always welcome on any of the topics in any of the videos. I try to put out a video once a week on either lamp repair or furniture repair. And again, I appreciate you watching. Thank you very much.